right, well, Happy New Year. Welcome to Garage Aquatics 2023. I'm Ron, and I thought I would do an update on my little venture with No-Planaria and bladder snails and see how it came out. I had a lot of feedback from different people, different opinions, works, doesn't work, so we shall see how it works out. I will go through all the tanks that I'd used it in, including my tub outside, and we'll let you know what happened. Stay tuned. All right, so here it is. This is the No-Planaria I bought. And as you recall, that's the dosage for planaria, but it's same dosage for bladder snails. So 1 spoonful for 50 liters, day 1. Day 2, half a spoonful for the same 50 liters. Day 3, a quarter of a spoonful for the 50 liters. So what that broke down to, and I didn't do all of it, but 1.5 scoops for a 20-gallon tank. Here's the little scoop that came with it. And I took my own advice. I stuck it into another container, and I left a little silica gel pack in there, or whatever it's called. And I did write the whole dose on the lid here, and that's for 50 liters or for 20 gallons. And it's just a hell of a lot easier to stick my hand into this plastic tub than it was in and out of this little oil bag. Yeah, and don't get this shit in your coffee. It's probably not any good. So what I should have done, and I didn't, was actually created a written log on the date that I did this. This was tank number 1. This is the wild type molly tank. There's cherry shrimp in here, and there's plants in here, and turns out there's fry in here now too, which is very cool. I waited about a year for them, and they showed up. This tank was inundated with bladder snails, and it's been about a month now since the original treatment. And I'll put the date in the screen there so you can see it and so I remember. And this will be tank 1, day 1, essentially. And I did other tanks after I finished up with this one. I waited to see how it worked. I want to make sure I didn't lose any shrimp. These are lots of cherry shrimp, and I've got other cherry shrimp elsewhere, but I thought if it kills these, it says right on the package, safe for shrimp, safe for fish. I think saltwater tanks too, regardless. So anyway, no snails. After about a week, no bladder snails. Hey, Nabisco. Okay, here we are. This is Nabisco. Say hello. You're standing on my toe. That hurts. Yep, say hi. So after I was sure that the No-Planaria was going to be safe, I moved on to these 2 tanks here, right next door. This one has the tuxedo guppies and blue dream shrimp, and the tank next to it has these golden guppies, whatever they were called, yellow guppies. This tank with the orange sunkissed shrimp seemed like it had a wall of snails on both side glasses on a regular basis. This one was not as bad. I spent a lot of time with a net. She's around here somewhere.
If we had 2 Perrys, we could put a net between them and play platypus badminton. Who's a net? Ferd, that's it. I know what we're going to do today. No, seriously, who's a net?
Using my shrimp net to fish them out. I think I'd gotten a pretty good jump on the Blue Dream tank here, but I still had loads in the Orange Sunkissed tank. So after the 3-day treatment, about 5-6 days later, no more bladder snails. And then ultimately, I need a swig of my coffee. This tank with hornwort, guppy grass in the other tanks, and there should be half a dozen of these little platies in here I got from 5-Star Betta, one of Pelham's Aquatics auctions. Oh, and there's also yellow golden back neocaridinae in here. And this was loaded with bladder snails also. And I treated this tank and got rid of most of them. I still saw little bitty ones in the hornwort. I think I'm seeing another one right now. Right there. So it might be, and as small as it is, and I think I mentioned this in another video, eggs hatching out. And from what I understand, bladder snail eggs can take up to 2 weeks to hatch out. So that's possible. This tank came along later, so that's possible. I've treated it twice already. Maybe I will treat it another time again in the next few days. I wanted to get everything balanced out, equaled out. I'm going to do water changes today and tomorrow. If I see more snails, I'll probably just go ahead and do this treatment as prevention, because we just saw that little bladder snail in there. So that's these 4 tanks, 3 of which I would say are completely snail free. The one here with the wild type mollies, the one here with the tuxedo guppies and the blue dream shrimp, and the one here with these yellow guppies and the orange sunkissed shrimp. And we just found a little one in here. And that's why I treated this a second time, because I found a little one. So maybe there's another clutch of eggs that are hatching out. Now this is where it gets interesting. At least I think so. This is 40 breeder, and there's blue dream shrimp in here, and there's guppies, some of the tuxedo guppies. There's bronze cories, and there should be some autocinclus in here as well. And there were bladder snails and ram's horn snails, and I treated this tank. I treated it twice. There are no more bladder snails, but there's still ram's horn snails. So No-Planaria at the standard dosage seems like it is not doing anything to control the ram's horn snails. I thought maybe it would the second time around. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to do water change in here too, because that's just the drill for this weekend. And you can see some of the big ram's horns on the glass there, on the side of the glass there behind the wood. They're all over the place. They're on the pots here. And I think what I'm going to try is a double dose. So instead of 1.5 scoops for 20 gallons, which would be 3 scoops for this 40 gallon, I'm going to try 3 scoops for 20 gallons, or it'll be 6 scoops, spoonfuls, those little spoonfuls for this 40 gallon. And we'll see how that goes. And I also treated the tub out back, and it's been really cold. It's 100 gallons. I thought based on this proportioning, I guess that's the right word, it should be 7.5 scoops for 100 gallons. I put 8. I rounded it up to 8. And then the next day 4, and the next day 2. And I'm still seeing some bladder snails in there. So I don't know if, because the water is so cold, it's, I don't know, maybe 55 degrees, something like that in the tub out back, that maybe that's inhibiting the efficacy, how you like that one, of the No-Planaria against the bladder snails. So I will do that one again, but I think I'm just going to wait for it to warm up on that one. So anyway, that's kind of the inside the garage here, and then I'll show you the 20 gallon in my office that I treated, and that'll be the end of it. This is the 20 gallon in my office. I think I treated it. It was maybe third down the line after I did the ones in the garage that we just saw. There are some bronze cories in here. This is the tank with the green jade shrimp. There's one on the glass. There's more. There's also a bunch of algae on the glass. I am negligent. There were bladder snails in here. They're gone. But I didn't realize there's ram's horn snails in here too. And as we see, or saw, I should say, as we saw in the tank in the garage under the counter there with the ram's horn snails, apparently No-Planaria does not work on them. Works well on the bladder snails, but it doesn't seem to work on the ram's horn. So maybe I will try a double dose and see if that works on the ram's horns. Well, alrighty. So for my 2 cents worth, whatever that's worth, and I don't even know if it's worth 2 cents, but you're getting it. Does the No-Planaria work? Yes and no. It worked really well, at least I'm going to say it works really well on the bladder snails in the tanks. It does not work on the ram's horn snails, at least not at this dosage of 1.5 spoonfuls per 20 gallons of water. And again, this is that little spoonful. When I started this project, I got a lot of response saying, No-Planaria doesn't work. So I'm wondering if all those people that were responding were trying it against bigger snails, like ram's horn snails, like Malaysian trumpet snails, like assassin snails. People told me, use assassin snails, but I'm thinking you're just changing one problem out for another at some point. Snails are snails. And I know some of the bigger snails don't breed that heavily or reproduce that heavily, 1 or 2 a month or whatever. And I get that. And some of those bigger snails are sought after and probably sellable, but I just don't want to do that. I have been selling not the bladder snails. I wouldn't do that to anybody. I have been selling the ram's horn snails on my eBay store. My 2 cents is it works. You got a bladder snail problem, give it a shot. I think that's a great way to get it. Bladder snails reproduce so damn quickly, and for my money, they are such a pain in the butt that this was worth the experiment, and it's worth double treating. And I will triple treat that tank there with the yellow shrimp and the little platies and the hornwort, where we found that one little bladder snail. I'll retreat that one. I'll wait till after I do the water changes, but I will retreat that, and I'll do the 3-day regimen again. And I'm hoping that'll completely take care of it. I want snail-free tanks because I sell guppy grass, I sell hornwort. I want to be able to say snail-free. So there's no ram's horn snails in those tanks either. I can do that then. So that's kind of was my goal, to be snail-free on the plants I sell. I've got another tank I got to do, my little old farm tank. There's a bunch of plants just dunked in there, and there's bladder snails only in there. So I'm going to treat that tank as well. when I retreat this tank behind me here. And then I will try to treat out the ram's horns with the double dose. So anyway, my 2 cents on this whole snail issue. I really appreciate you riding along with me. Like I said at the beginning of this, Happy New Year. Here we are Friday afternoon. And as always, thanks for looking.